Welcome to the Sleepy Brainist. Tonight, we'll drift through how the food you eat quietly shapes your mood, focus, and sleep. Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country or city in the comments. I love seeing our sleepy little map grow. If you find this soothing and helpful, please subscribe, tap like, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a gentle bedtime lesson. Close your eyes for a moment and picture your brain as a warm city at night. Lights flicker in every neighborhood, trains glide along their routes, tiny workshops hum, never fully asleep, always tending to something important. That gentle hum costs energy, and even when the rest of you is still, your brain quietly claims a surprisingly large share of the body's fuel. It doesn't hoard much for later either. Unlike muscles that can store glycogen, the brain keeps only the tiniest emergency reserve in its supporting cells. Most of the time, it lives meal to meal, minute to minute, depending on a steady stream of nutrients delivered by your blood. When that stream is smooth, thoughts feel clear and unhurried. When it surges and crashes, thinking can turn foggy, jumpy, or strangely tired. Every thought, memory, and quiet feeling is powered by simple chemistry. Nerve cells pump tiny charged particles in and out to send signals. Those pumps burn through a lot of energy, and the recycling of neurotransmitters after each message costs more. Supporting cells, the glial caretakers, use energy to sweep the synapses, mop up excess chemicals, ferry nutrients, and keep the environment balanced. Even at rest, whole networks are rehearsing, pruning, and strengthening connections. This day and night housekeeping is why your brain prefers reliable fuel over fireworks. Glucose is the brain's favorite everyday fuel, in the same way a kettle prefers a steady flame rather than flashes of lightning. Your body can make glucose from other nutrients, but the simplest route is through your meals. When you eat something rich in refined sugar or very rapidly digested starch, glucose can flood the bloodstream. For a brief window, you might feel bright and fast. Soon after, insulin, your body's traffic cop, ushers that glucose into cells, and levels may dip. The bright, fast feeling can fade into a low murmur of fatigue, irritability, or hunger. You didn't run out of fuel, exactly. The supply just became uneven. The brain senses these swings and nudges you toward quick fixes, which can set up another spike and crash. Now imagine the gentler pattern your brain loves. Slow, sustained release. When a meal includes natural fiber, protein, and healthy fats, digestion takes its time. Glucose arrives in a smooth, modest wave. You get the energy lift without the whiplash. Whole oats or rye toast paired with yogurt and nuts. Beans tucked into a salad with olive oil. Brown rice with lentils and vegetables. These combinations are less about rules and more about rhythm. Fiber slows absorption. Protein and fat lengthen the arc of energy. The result is a mind that feels quietly capable for hours, not minutes. There's a graceful flexibility built into your brain's metabolism as well. While glucose is the everyday choice, your brain can run on ketones. Tiny energy molecules made when carbohydrate intake is low or you've gone a while without eating, such as overnight. This doesn't mean you must avoid carbohydrates. It simply shows how adaptable the system is. Overnight, as you sleep, your brain may sip a mix of fuels while it consolidates memories and performs deep cleaning. Waking to a balanced first meal helps guide the day's energy curve in a calmer direction. Think of the blood-brain barrier as the city gates. Only certain nutrients are waved through. Specialized transporters carry glucose and other building blocks across, and those transporters appreciate consistency. When your meals are erratic, very large, very late, or mostly fast sugars, the pattern at the gate becomes choppy. When your meals are steady and diverse, traffic stays predictable, and the inner city hums along. So what does this feel like in daily life? On a smooth day, focus arrives without strain. You don't chase your attention, it meets you halfway. You handle small frustrations with a little more patience. On a spiky day, the mind may feel hurried, but oddly unproductive, then heavy and unfocused. You might mistake thirst for hunger, or reach for constant snacks because your brain is asking for stability. A glass of water, a piece of fruit paired with a handful of nuts, or a slice of whole grain toast with hummus can be enough to level the track. It's not about perfect nutrition. It's about steering the roller coaster into a gentle train ride. Under the surface, your mitochondria, the powerhouses inside each neuron, are quietly turning nutrients into the energy currency your brain spends. They too prefer calm conditions. A colorful variety of plants supplies antioxidants that keep those powerhouses comfortable while they work. Iron helps carry oxygen to feed the system. B vitamins help convert food into usable energy. Magnesium contributes to relaxed, well-timed signaling. Again, no need for complicated rules, just small, regular nods toward variety. Leafy greens, berries, beans, seeds, whole grains, maybe a portion of fish now and then if that fits your style of eating. Hydration is the overlooked companion in all of this. Even mild dehydration can make thinking feel like walking through fog. The brain is cushioned and bathed in fluid. Messages travel more comfortably when there's enough of it. A simple habit, water with meals, a sip between tasks, perhaps a warm herbal tea in the evening, keeps that cushion topped up. Rhythm matters, not only within a single meal, but across the day. Your body tends to handle fuel more gracefully earlier, rather than very late at night. A balanced breakfast or first meal can set the tone, a steady lunch can keep you on course, and a gentle earlier dinner leaves room for deep sleep to do its night shift of repair. When the day is hectic and you can't sit down for a perfect plate, even small anchors help. An apple with peanut butter instead of a pastry alone, yogurt with granola instead of candy, a lentil soup instead of only coffee. Each choice is a whisper to your brain. Steady now. Stress weaves into this story as well. When you're tense, your body releases hormones that nudge glucose into the bloodstream to prepare for action. If you're sitting at a desk instead of sprinting away from danger, that extra push can feed the spikes you're trying to soften. A snack with fiber and protein, a few deep breaths, a short walk. These simple acts help your brain interpret the moment as safe, shifting you back toward the balanced, fuel-efficient mode that thinking and learning love. You don't need to memorize pathways to feel the difference. Try noticing how your mind behaves after different breakfasts, or how your focus holds on days filled with colorful plants compared with days dominated by quick sweets. Notice whether a glass of water mid-afternoon clears the edges of fatigue. Notice if pairing your favorite bread or rice with beans, eggs, tofu, or fish stretches your energy longer. Tiny experiments teach your own rhythms better than any chart. If you like, you can picture your next meal as a friendly neighborhood delivery to that night-lit city. A base of slow, fiber-rich carbohydrates to keep the lights on. A serving of protein to support your messengers. A a drizzle of healthy fat to make the ride unhurried, and a splash of colour for the quiet maintenance crews inside each cell. Delivered early enough, with a glass of water to follow, the city gets what it needs to tidy up and rest. In the end, feeding your brain is less about chasing superfoods and more about smoothing the line. Gentle, regular meals, a balance of plants, proteins and fats, attention to thirst, and kindness to your schedule. When you give your brain that steadiness, it often answers with a feeling we're all looking for at bedtime. Thoughts that settle, a mood that softens, and the pleasant sense that the lights of the city are glowing. Calm, constant, and content. Imagine energy as a gentle tide moving toward your mind, never crashing, never retreating too quickly, just a steady rise and fall that keeps your thoughts afloat. That tide is shaped by the kinds of carbohydrates you eat and the quiet strength of fiber. When carbohydrates arrive slowly, your brain gets a calm, continuous stream of fuel. When they arrive all at once, it can feel like a splash that wakes you up and then leaves you shivering. The art is not in avoiding carbs, but in guiding them. Carbohydrates are simply chains of sugars, but not all chains behave the same. Some break apart quickly. Think white bread, sugary drinks, or pastries, sending glucose into your blood like confetti. Others hold together longer, especially when wrapped in fiber, so the release feels more like a lantern dimmer than a light switch. Oats, barley, rye, brown rice, quinoa, buckwheat, beans, lentils, chickpeas, sweet potatoes, berries, apples, pears, and most vegetables carry their sugars with patience. This patience is what your attention loves. It means fewer jitters, fewer dips, and fewer urgent cravings that pull you away from what you wanted to do. Fiber is the quiet engineer behind this smooth ride. Soluble fiber, found in oats, barley, beans, lentils, apples, citrus, carrots, and psyllium, forms a soft gel in the gut that slows absorption, lengthening the arc of energy. Insoluble fiber, found in whole wheat bran, many vegetables, nuts, and seeds, adds bulk and helps keep digestion moving comfortably along. There's also resistant starch, created in foods like cooled potatoes, rice, and greenish bananas, which resists digestion in the small intestine and travels to the large intestine to feed your gut microbes. Those microbes turn fiber and resistant starch into short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, acetate, and propionate. These tiny compounds help maintain a calm gut lining, whisper satiety signals, and seem to send friendly messages to the brain through the vagus nerve. The result, felt from the inside out, can be a softer mood and steadier focus. Think of meals as little choreography routines. Pair a slow carbohydrate with protein and a healthy fat, and everything moves in time. A bowl of steel-cut oats becomes calmer with yogurt or soy milk and a handful of walnuts or chia. A baked sweet potato becomes steadier with a spoon of tahini or a dollop of Greek yogurt and a sprinkle of pumpkin seeds. A plate of brown rice or quinoa becomes more thoughtful when it meets lentils, tofu, or salmon with a tumble of greens and olive oil. This pairing slows gastric emptying, lowers the speed of glucose arrival, and makes the brain feel gently supplied rather than rushed. There are small tricks that nudge meals toward calm without changing their spirit. Cook pasta just to al dente. It digests a little slower. Choose sourdough or true whole grain bread. The natural fermentation and intact grains tend to soften the spike. Add a side salad with olive oil or a splash of vinegar. The acid and fat further steady the ride. Let cooked rice or potatoes cool before eating or reheating. More resistant starch forms, making the energy release kinder. None of these ideas require perfection. Each is just a gentle turn of the dial. Your brain will notice the difference most about an hour or two after eating. On a fast carb morning, you might feel a quick lift and then a slide into distraction or a vague irritability. On a slow carb morning, the lift is smaller but lasts longer, like a good, even breath. If you're curious, run experiments. Try overnight oats with chia and berries one day and a sweet pastry alone on another. Notice the 90-minute mark. Which day feels clearer? For a snack test, try a banana by itself one time and a banana with peanut butter the next. The second version often feels less restless and lasts longer. Let's make this practical. A calm breakfast could be oats with chia, cinnamon and a tumble of berries, or whole grain toast with hummus, avocado and tomato, or a plain yogurt bowl with sliced pear, walnuts and a spoon of ground flax, or a veggie omelette wrapped in a true whole grain tortilla. A gentle lunch could be lentil soup and a salad with olive oil, or a quinoa bowl with roasted vegetables, chickpeas and tahini, or soba noodles with tofu, mushrooms and sesame, or a rye bread sandwich with salmon, cucumber and greens. A peaceful dinner might be brown rice, dal and sautéed spinach, or barley with roasted root vegetables and a bean stew, or baked sweet potato with black beans, corn, cilantro and yogurt, or millet with vegetables and a lemony olive oil dressing. The pattern is simple. Pick a slow carb, place a protein next to it, add colour, drizzle a fat. Fibre thrives on variety. Different plants carry different fibres, and your microbes enjoy the diversity. One day choose oats, another day barley. One week emphasize beans, the next bring in lentils and chickpeas. Rotate fruits, berries, apples, oranges, kiwis, and vegetables, leafy greens, brassicas like broccoli and cauliflower, carrots and beets, peppers and zucchini. A small goal that often works is to aim for a fist-sized portion of slow carbs at meals and to gather at least 8 to 10 grams of fibre per meal from all sources combined. For many people, that looks like a base of whole grains or starchy veg, plus legumes, plus a large helping of non-starchy vegetables. Your plate might look like a quiet landscape. Half vegetables, a quarter slow carbs, a quarter protein, and a spoon of healthy fat. If you're easing into more fibre, go gently. Increase a little each week and drink more water. Your gut appreciates the extra fluid as fibre grows. If certain high FODMAP foods, like some beans, onions or wheat, make you bloated, you can still build a slow energy pattern with options like rice, oats, firm bananas, potatoes, quinoa, carrots, spinach, eggplant, zucchini, and lower FODMAP fruits. Canned beans, well rinsed, are often easier than freshly cooked at first. Lentils are often gentler than large kidney beans. Soaking, sprouting, and longer cooking can reduce compounds that cause discomfort. Culture offers many slow energy traditions already perfected by time. Dal with rice, black beans with corn tortillas, barley soups, buckwheat noodles, Ethiopian injera with lentil stews, Mediterranean grain salads, millet porridges, teff flatbreads, and rye breads. None of these meals are diet food. They're simply ways humans learn to feel stable across a day. What about treats? You don't have to swear off sweetness to protect your focus. Pair dessert with a meal rather than eating it alone. Add yogurt, nuts, or a little nut butter to slow the ride. Savor fruit-forward sweets that bring fiber with them, like baked apples with oats and walnuts. If a mid-afternoon slump has you reaching for candy, try a small square of dark chocolate alongside almonds and a clementine, or whole grain crackers with cheese or hummus. You're not denying yourself. You're helping your brain keep the lights on evenly. Travel and restaurants can still be calm. Look for whole grains, beans, and vegetables on the menu. Choose the side salad or roasted vegetables instead of fries sometimes. Add avocado or olive oil. Ask for brown rice or a whole grain option if it's available. If the only choice is a white bread sandwich, add a side of nuts or a yogurt. If you're grabbing a quick breakfast, choose muesli or plain oatmeal and add seeds and fruit rather than a sugary cereal. You could even use drinks to support steadiness. Sugary beverages bypass the brakes and rush glucose in. Your brain often prefers water, unsweetened tea, or coffee with a meal. If you like juice, think of it as a small accent with food, not a solo drink on an empty stomach. A splash of vinegar in water with meals, or a simple salad dressed with lemon and oil, may modestly soften post-meal spikes for some people. Timing matters too. Many notice they feel clearer when the larger slow-carb meals sit earlier in the day, and the evening meal is lighter and earlier. An earlier dinner gives your body time to glide into sleep without digesting a feast. If you exercise, pairing a slow-carb meal with protein within a couple hours afterward can replenish stores smoothly, supporting both muscles and a serene mind later. None of this is about perfect rules. It's about tilting the day toward the kind of energy that feels like a soft, steady breeze. Choose carbohydrates that come wrapped in their natural fibers. Invite protein and healthy fats to the table. Bring color from plants. Add little culinary tricks. Cool al dente, sourdough, vinegar, olive oil that nudge the curve. If a moment calls for quick comfort, meet it with kindness and a pairing that slows the pace. And then, simply notice. Notice how a bowl of barley soup carries you through a long afternoon. Notice how brown rice with beans and greens steadies your evening mood. Notice how a cooled potato salad with olive oil, lemon, and herbs feels different than fries. With each gentle adjustment, you're telling your brain, we'll keep the tide even tonight. We'll keep the water calm. Imagine each brain cell wrapped in a delicate, shimmering coat. That coat, the cell membrane, is made largely of fats, and the kind of fats you eat changes how that coat behaves. When the membrane is supple, signals glide more easily, receptors fit their chemical keys, and little messenger packets fuse and release with grace. When it's stiff or inflamed, everything feels a bit noisier and slower. Omega-3 fats, especially DHA and EPA, are like artisans for those coats. They soften, they flex, they calm. They also help your long neural wires stay well insulated because the myelin that wraps them is rich in lipids too. In a quietly literal way, the right fats help thoughts travel. DHA is the star of synapses and retinas, tucked into places where rapid signaling matters most. It's long and bendy, which keeps membranes fluid, and that fluidity lets receptors for serotonin, dopamine, and other neurotransmitters move into position when needed. EPA appears to spend more time in the body's conversation about inflammation, nudging it toward resolution rather than escalation. Together, they support a chemistry that feels less jangly and more even. You might notice it as a mind that shifts gears without grinding, from focus to rest, from planning to sleep. Your body can make small amounts of DHA and EPA from ALA, the plant omega-3 found in flax, chia, hemp, and walnuts. But the conversion is modest for many people, so it helps to bring both worlds to the table. Plants for ALA and fiber, and, if it fits your way of eating, direct sources of DHA and EPA from the sea. Fatty fish such as salmon, sardines, mackerel, herring, and anchovies carry generous amounts. If you're vegetarian or vegan, algae oil offers DHA and often EPA without the fish. Think of it as going to the source, since fish get their omega-3s from marine algae to begin with. Omega-3s don't just decorate membranes, they also become raw material for resolvins and protectins, tiny peacekeepers your body uses to wind down inflammation after it has done its job. That cooling phase matters in the brain, where microglia, the resident cleanup crew, can either maintain a tidy neighborhood or, if pushed too hard for too long, create a background haze that tires your thinking. When omega-3s are available, the cleanup looks more like a quiet sweep than a siren-filled scene. Different fats play different instruments in this orchestra. Monounsaturated fats, from olives, avocados, almonds, and hazelnuts, tend to be stable and supportive, friendly to blood flow, and comfortable at everyday cooking temperatures. Polyunsaturated fats include omega-3s, which we want more of, and omega-6s, which we also need, but which show up everywhere already in many modern diets: soybean, corn, sunflower oils. It's not that omega-6s are bad, it's that balance helps the conversation stay calm. Saturated fats from dairy fat, coconut, and animal fat can be part of the picture, especially in traditional cuisines, but very heavy reliance on them may nudge membranes towards stiffness. Trans fats are the discordant notes, best avoided whenever you can. In the kitchen, gentleness protects fragile omega-3s. Bake, steam, or poach fish rather than deep frying it. Add ground flaxseed, chia, or crushed walnuts to cool or warm foods after cooking rather than scorching them in a hot pan. Keep flaxseed, especially ground, and walnut oil in the fridge. Use walnut or flax oil for dressings, not for the skillet. Olive oil handles low to moderate heat gracefully and can anchor much of your everyday cooking. If you love a higher heat sear, use a stable fat for that moment and bring the delicate omega-3s elsewhere on the plate. Because omega-3s are more easily oxidized, pairing them with natural antioxidants helps. A bed of leafy greens, a shower of herbs, a squeeze of lemon, a side of berries or tomatoes. These bring vitamin C, polyphenols, and carotenoids that help keep those bendy fats in good shape. Nuts and seeds also deliver vitamin E, another quiet guardian for fragile lipids. There's a reason so many coastal traditions pair fish with bright herbs and citrus. It tastes good and it's clever chemistry. What does this look like as food you can actually curl up with? Think of a bowl of warm lentils scattered with toasted walnuts and parsley, finished with a spoon of olive oil and a squeeze of lemon. Picture a simple salmon fillet baked low and slow until it flakes, resting beside garlicky spinach and roasted sweet potato. Imagine a hearty sardine and white bean toast on real rye, with capers, red onion, and a little dill yogurt. Or a grain bowl, barley or quinoa, with roasted vegetables, chickpeas, tahini, and a sprinkle of hemp seeds. For plant first days, swirl chia into overnight oats with cinnamon. Add a spoon of ground flax to yogurt with berries, or whisk tahini and lemon into a creamy dressing for a big salad. If supplements make sense for you, algae-based DHA-EPA can fit neatly into a plant-based pattern. Many people simply fold a small dose into breakfast. Your brain also benefits when fats slow the meal's pace. Fat naturally helps extend the curve of energy from carbohydrates, easing the glucose rise and softening the dip that often follows. A slice of whole grain toast becomes steadier with avocado. Fruit becomes less jittery with a handful of almonds. Pasta feels kinder with olive oil, salmon, and a tumble of arugula. The combined effect is subtle but noticeable. A mind that doesn't lurch between on and off. A mood that doesn't ride the hour-to-hour swing. There are tender seasons of life where omega-3s matter even more. During growth, DHA helps wire visual and cognitive circuits. During periods of intense learning or stress, membranes and signaling pathways are in heavy use. With aging, keeping those membranes flexible and the inflammatory tone low supports resilience. None of this demands a strict plan. It's the small, repeating gestures that do the work. Fish once or twice a week if you eat it, a daily sprinkle of seeds, a rotation of nuts, olive oil as your default colourful plants at most meals. If you're choosing seafood, the smaller, oilier fish often offer high omega-3s with fewer environmental contaminants. Canned options, sardines, mackerel, salmon, are simple, affordable, and shelf-stable. Rinse and flake them into salads, mash with a little yogurt and mustard for a spread, or warm gently with tomatoes and garlic to spoon over grains. If you prefer to avoid fish, keep an eye on variety in your plant sources. Flax and chia for breakfast, walnuts with fruit in the afternoon, hemp seeds over soups and bowls, canola or rapeseed oil for a neutral cooking fat with some ALA, and an algae oil capsule if you want direct DHA EPA in the mix. Your senses can guide you. Oils and nuts should smell fresh and taste sweet or gently nutty. If they smell paint-like or bitter, they may be oxidized. Store nuts and seeds in cool, dark places. Keep delicate oils capped and chilled. Treat these ingredients a bit like fresh flowers, protected from heat and harsh light. They stay lovely longer. You might even approach this as a quiet weekly rhythm rather than a rule. 1 or 2 seafood nights, 2 or 3 plant-rich omega-3 seed breakfasts, olive oil forward cooking most days, nuts as the grab-and-go snack, herbs and citrus as constant companions. Let culture help you. Mediterranean plates with fish and olives, Japanese lunches with salmon, sesame and greens, Nordic rye with smoked fish and dill, Middle Eastern bowls with tahini, walnuts and mint, Indian dals tempered with mustard seed and finished with a spoon of ghee or a drizzle of cold-pressed oil alongside a fish curry now and then. These aren't health foods, they're delicious traditions that happen to comfort the brain. Over time, what often changes is not a single dramatic feeling, but your background noise level. Thoughts arrive with less static. Emotional weather moves through without getting stuck. Sleep slides in more smoothly when late-night heavy meals are replaced by earlier, lighter ones that still include a little fat for satiety. On some evenings, you may notice that a teaspoon of almond butter with fruit quiets a craving better than something very sweet. On some afternoons, you may realize your focus lasted because lunch included olive oil, seeds, and greens. And when life is messy, remember that fats are patient. If today was all rush and crackers, tomorrow can begin with yogurt, flax, and berries. If dinner was light, a drizzle of olive oil and a handful of walnuts can round it out. If you're traveling, a tin of sardines, a lemon, and a bag of arugula can turn a simple loaf of bread into a calm meal. Every small choice polishes those shimmering coats around your brain cells, making the city inside your head feel a bit softer, more flexible, and more at ease. Imagine your brain as a quiet workshop full of tiny artisans. They carve memories, varnish attention, and gently tune your moods. Their tools are proteins, more precisely, the amino acids that proteins unfold into after you eat. Each amino acid is like a specific tool head. Some polish calm, some lift motivation, some soothe the edges so you can drift to sleep. When your day includes enough of these building blocks, the workshop runs smoothly. When it doesn't, the crew improvises with dull knives and bent chisels, and the work feels harder than it needs to be. After a meal, your body breaks proteins into amino acids and sends them into the bloodstream. From there, a few precious travelers cross the blood-brain barrier to become neurotransmitters, the chemical language of thought and feeling. Tryptophan helps make serotonin, which later becomes melatonin for sleep timing. Tyrosine and its precursor, phenylalanine, helps make dopamine and norepinephrine, the sparks behind focus, drive, and alertness. Glutamate fuels quick communication between neurons, while the brain converts some of it into GABA, a whisper that quiets the system when it's time to relax. Glycine and taurine also play calming roles. Glycine can subtly lower body temperature to invite sleep, and taurine modulates inhibitory signaling. Histidine feeds histamine, a messenger linked to wakefulness and attention. Each pathway is small on its own, but together they create your mental weather. These conversions depend not just on amino acids, but on helpers: vitamin B6, folate, and B12, iron and copper, vitamin C, a steady supply of energy. B6 is a frequent co-star in making serotonin and GABA. Iron helps the first step in dopamine production hum along. Vitamin C and copper help convert dopamine into norepinephrine when that extra alertness is useful. Think of protein as the lumber and these micronutrients as the nails and glue. The best furniture needs both. Two practical rhythms make this easier: getting enough protein overall and spreading it across the day. Many people feel steadier when protein shows up at breakfast or the first meal, again at midday, and again at dinner, rather than piling it all at night. This even distribution gives your brain repeated access to amino acids and gently smooths blood sugar by slowing digestion. You don't need complicated math. Picture a palm-sized portion of protein-rich food at each meal, scaled to your body and appetite, and smaller, protein-anchored snacks when you're hungry. What does this look like on a cozy plate? In the morning, plain yogurt with walnuts and berries, or eggs with sautéed greens and a slice of true whole grain toast, or tofu scramble with mushrooms and peppers, or a smoothie built on soy milk, or kefir with oats, chia, and fruit. At midday, lentil soup with olive oil and a big salad, or a quinoa bowl with chickpeas, roasted vegetables, and tahini, or salmon with brown rice and steamed broccoli, or a tempeh and avocado sandwich on rye with tomato and arugula. In the evening, dal with basmati rice and a side of yogurt and cucumber, or baked trout with sweet potato and green beans, or tofu and buckwheat soba with sesame and greens, or black beans with roasted corn, cilantro, and a spoon of plain yogurt or cashew cream. Plant-based patterns work beautifully with a little attention to variety. Soy foods like tofu, tempeh, and edamame provide abundant, well-balanced amino acids. Lentils, beans, and chickpeas layer in tryptophan and lysine. Whole grains, oats, barley, quinoa, buckwheat, brown rice, and nuts and seeds, pumpkin, hemp, chia, flax, walnuts, almonds, round out the mix. You don't have to combine complementary proteins in the same bite. Your body builds a day-long pool and assembles what it needs as long as you eat a range of foods. Fermented options, tempeh, miso, yogurt, kefir, are often gentler on the stomach and can make the amino acids more available. There's a simple dance between carbohydrates and protein that helps tryptophan find its way into the brain. When a meal includes a calm, fiber-rich carbohydrate alongside protein, insulin encourages certain amino acids to move into muscles, leaving a bit more tryptophan circulating relative to its competitors. That higher relative availability lets tryptophan cross into the brain more easily, where it can become serotonin and later melatonin. This is one reason a small, balanced evening snack, plain yogurt with oats, half a banana with peanut butter, or a few whole grain crackers with hummus, can feel more sleep-friendly than sweets alone. It's not about a turkey trick. It's about letting chemistry stroll, not sprint. Tyrosine, on the other hand, can be handy earlier in the day when you want alertness without turbulence. Foods naturally rich in it include eggs, fish, poultry, soy, dairy, pumpkin seeds, sesame, almonds, and beans. You'll find that a breakfast of eggs and greens or a tofu and veg bowl leaves a different mental footprint than a sugary pastry. The first gives your brain parts for dopamine and norepinephrine plus fiber and fat to slow the morning. The second lights a brief spark and then asks you to chase it. Glycine and taurine have a gentler personality. Bone broth, gelatin, and some seafood carry glycine. Plant eaters get glycine precursors by simply eating enough protein and letting the body synthesize it. Taurine shows up in fish and shellfish and is also made in your body from cysteine. You don't need to micromanage them. If your meals include complete proteins and varied plants, these calming currents usually flow on their own. Some days, digestion needs a softer approach. If beans bloat you, start with lentils, split peas, or well-rinsed canned beans in small amounts, and cook with ginger, cumin, or asafoetida. If dairy is tricky, choose lactose-free yogurt, kefir, or aged cheeses. If you avoid dairy altogether, soy yogurt, fortified plant milks, and tofu cover a lot of ground. If high FODMAP foods are sensitive for you, lean on eggs, fish, firm tofu, chicken, quinoa, oats, rice, peanut butter, and gentler fruits and vegetables while you experiment. A registered dietitian can help tailor this kindly if symptoms are persistent. Timing and portion size matter for sleep. A very heavy, very late protein feast can keep the digestive system busy when you'd rather be drifting off. Many people sleep more soundly with a moderate dinner that includes protein, fiber-rich carbohydrates, colorful vegetables, and a little fat, finished a few hours before bed. If you're hungry closer to bedtime, think light and balanced, not large and fast. A small bowl of yogurt with oats, a glass of warm milk, or fortified soy milk, with a couple of whole grain crackers, or a banana with a spoon of almond butter. A few micronutrient partners deserve regular cameos. B6 shows up in potatoes, bananas, chickpeas, poultry, and fish. Folate loves leafy greens, beans, citrus, and asparagus. B12 rides in animal foods and fortified plant milks and nutritional yeast, especially important if you're vegan. Iron lives in red meat, beans, lentils, tofu, pumpkin seeds, and leafy greens. Pear plant iron with vitamin C, lemon peppers, berries, to improve absorption. Zinc, pumpkin seeds, oysters, beans, and magnesium, nuts, seeds, legumes, whole grains, greens, quietly support enzyme activity and relaxation. You don't have to chase numbers. Just rotate these foods through your week and let variety do the math. Snacks become steadier when they're protein plus. Instead of crackers alone, try crackers with hummus or cheese. Instead of fruit alone, pair it with nuts or yogurt. Instead of just coffee mid-morning, add a boiled egg, a small tempeh sandwich, or a soy yogurt cup. Each pairing keeps glucose from spiking and crashing, and it refreshes the pool of amino acids your brain can draw from. If you like structure, imagine a gentle template for the day. First meal, protein anchor, eggs, tofu, yogurt, slow carb, oats, rye, fruit, and a fat accent, nuts, seeds, olive oil. Midday, protein again, beans, fish, tempeh, chicken, plus a heap of vegetables, a whole grain, and a drizzle of oil or tahini. Evening, a modest protein, a calm carbohydrate, 2 colorful vegetables, and herbs or citrus to brighten and bring antioxidants that protect delicate fats and support neurotransmitter enzymes. Add water throughout. Even mild dehydration can make thought feel woolly. Culture offers countless delicious ways to meet these needs without turning meals into a project. Japanese miso soup with tofu and rice and a side of fish. Mediterranean plates with beans, yogurt, herbs and olive oil. Indian dals with rice and vegetables. Mexican bowls with black beans, corn tortillas, salsa and avocado. Middle Eastern mezzi with hummus, labna, lentil salads, and whole grain flatbread. These traditions carry proteins, fibers, fats, and micronutrients in friendly proportions, and they taste like comfort. Over weeks, the change you notice may be gentle. Fewer mental stutters between tasks, a mood that's less brittle in the afternoon, sleep that arrives without argument on nights when dinner is calm. You won't need to memorize pathways to feel it. You'll simply find that giving your brain a steady supply of amino acids, wrapped in real food and spread across the day, makes the workshop inside your head hum, tools sharp, hands unhurried, and the day's work quietly, beautifully done. Your brain runs on tiny helpers as much as it runs on calories. They are the quiet co-workers, vitamins and minerals that flip enzymes on, carry oxygen, build membranes, and sweep away the sparks of everyday chemistry. When they're present, thoughts feel smoother, moods bend instead of snap, and sleep arrives without a struggle. When they're missing, the mind often feels like a screen with a faint static layer. You don't need a cabinet of powders to find them. Most are tucked into ordinary foods you can fold into a calm day. Begin with the B vitamins, a small family that turns food into fuel at every step. Thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, and pantothenic acid, B1, B2, B3, B5, sit inside your energy factories, helping mitochondria coax power from carbohydrates and fats so neurons can keep their pumps running. B6, folate, and B12 shape neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, GABA, and support the recycling and repair that keeps your brain's wiring tidy. Folate and B12 also help with methylation, a housekeeping process that touches everything from gene expression to myelin integrity. You'll meet these vitamins in leafy greens, beans, lentils, eggs, fish, poultry, dairy, or fortified plant milks, whole grains, seeds, and citrus. If you avoid animal foods, B12 becomes the one to deliberately include through fortified foods or a supplement because plants don't reliably provide it. A simple way to gather the set is to rotate. Oats or whole grain bread at breakfast, a bean or lentil dish most days, a big handful of greens, and either eggs, fish, yogurt, tofu, or tempeh somewhere in the mix. Iron carries oxygen to the places that think. Low iron doesn't just make muscles feel heavy, it can make attention fray and memory feel sticky. Heme iron from meat and fish is readily absorbed, while non-heme iron from beans, lentils, tofu, pumpkin seeds, and leafy greens benefits from a squeeze of vitamin C, lemon, peppers, tomatoes, berries, to slip across the gut wall more easily. Tea and coffee with meals can gently reduce absorption. Having them between meals is a small useful tweak. You don't need a steak to feel steady. A bowl of lentil soup with lemon and parsley, a tofu vegetable stir-fry with bell peppers, or a spinach and chickpea stew with tomatoes quietly moves the needle. Magnesium is the mineral of smooth timing. It steadies the gates on nerve cells, so signals are neither jumpy nor sluggish, and it relaxes muscles at day's end. It also partners with ATP, the energy currency, so cells can spend what they've earned. Nuts, seeds, beans, lentils, whole grains, dark chocolate, and leafy greens are generous sources. Many people notice that days with pumpkin seeds or almonds, beans, or lentils, and a pile of greens feel less twitchy and sleep a touch deeper. If you're increasing fiber and legumes, magnesium tends to rise alongside without extra planning. Zinc takes a seat at synapses, where learning and memory are rehearsed. It supports plasticity, the ability of connections to strengthen with use, and helps immune function stay balanced so the brain's housekeeping crew doesn't overreact. You'll find it in pumpkin seeds, beans, chickpeas, cashews, oats, yogurt, cheese, eggs, and oysters. It doesn't take much. Scattering seeds over salads, yogurt, or soups and keeping beans in your weekly rhythm often covers it. Choline is your key for acetylcholine, the messenger of attention and memory, and it's also a building block for phospholipids, the walls of brain cells. Eggs are an easy concentrated source, so are soy foods, quinoa, beans, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and sunflower lecithin. A breakfast of eggs with greens, or a tofu scramble with vegetables, a lunch with edamame or chickpeas, and a grain bowl dotted with broccoli in the evening quietly supplies what your circuits want. Iodine guides the thyroid hormones that set your body's idle speed, including the brain's. Too little slows the whole orchestra. Too much can be jangly. A pinch of iodized salt in home cooking is a simple, reliable way to keep intake in the comfortable middle. Seaweed contains iodine too, but amounts vary wildly from sheet to sheet. Enjoy it, just avoid making it your only or daily source. Fish and dairy, or fortified plant milks, contribute as well. Selenium is a small shield for delicate fats and proteins. It sits in enzymes that tidy up oxidative byproducts so cell membranes, especially omega-3 rich ones, stay fluid. Brazil nuts are famously rich. 1 or 2 can meet a day's needs. And you'll also find selenium in fish, eggs, sunflower seeds, oats, and legumes. Treat Brazil nuts like a spice, not a snack bowl. Their potency is the point. Copper and manganese are quieter still, but they help enzymes manage energy, connective tissue, and antioxidant defenses. Copper also supports the conversion of dopamine to norepinephrine. Whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, cocoa, and shellfish offer enough for most people who eat a varied diet. As with iodine and selenium, the goal is balance, not zeal. Vitamin C is the bright helper you can taste. It donates electrons to protect fragile molecules, regenerates vitamin E so it can keep guarding membranes, and assists in making norepinephrine. Citrus, kiwis, strawberries, peppers, broccoli, tomatoes, and leafy greens carry it in easy, delicious amounts. A squeeze of lemon over lentils, peppers tossed into a tofu stir-fry, a clementine with your handful of nuts. Each is a tiny nudge toward clarity. Vitamin E is the umbrella over your polyunsaturated fats, especially DHA in neural membranes. Nuts, seeds, and their oils, almonds, hazelnuts, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, along with wheat germ and avocados, provide it. When you build bowls with seeds and drizzle salads with a seed or olive oil dressing, you're not just making food shine, you're keeping membranes supple and messages quick. Vitamin D behaves like a messenger itself, with receptors throughout the brain. It touches mood, immune balance, and calcium signaling. Sunlight can help your body make it, though latitude, season, skin tone, sunscreen, and time outdoors all change the equation. Fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified milks can contribute. Many people lean on a modest supplement, especially in darker months. Pairing dietary sources with fat helps absorption, but you don't need to overthink it. A salmon and greens dinner or fortified soy milk with breakfast is enough of a gesture. Vitamin K is best known for clotting, but it also participates in sphingolipid metabolism, lipids that help structure neural membranes. Leafy greens and fermented foods like natto bring it to the table. Calcium and phosphorus, meanwhile, are the on-off taps of nerve signaling and the scaffolding for bones that carry the brain around. Dairy and fortified plant milks, tofu set with calcium sulfate, sesame and tahini, almonds, sardines with bones, and leafy greens round out this quieter pair. Potassium supports the electrical gradient across neuron membranes. It's abundant in beans, potatoes, bananas, tomatoes, squash, leafy greens, and yogurt. Sodium is essential too, but modern diets rarely lack it. Using iodized salt moderately gives you iodine without pushing sodium sky high. Absorption is half the story, and the kitchen can help. Pair plant iron with vitamin C. Soak and cook beans well. Rinsed canned beans are often gentler when you're starting out. Fermenting, sourdough, soaking, sprouting, and using a squeeze of lemon or a splash of vinegar can reduce phytate's grip on minerals in grains and legumes. Cook spinach and beet greens to soften oxalates. Rotate your greens so calcium has many chances to show up. Keep delicate oils capped and cool, nuts and seeds in jars out of direct light, and grind flax fresh or store it ground in the fridge so its fragile fats and vitamin E stay kind. A calm day's menu can quietly collect these helpers without feeling like homework. A first meal might be overnight oats with soy milk, chia, walnuts, blueberries, and a spoon of ground flax, or eggs with sautéed spinach, mushrooms, and a slice of whole grain toast, or plain yogurt with kiwi, pumpkin seeds, and a drizzle of tahini and honey. Midday could be lentil soup finished with lemon and olive oil, plus a big salad of mixed greens, peppers, tomatoes, cucumbers, olives, and herbs, or a quinoa bowl with chickpeas, roasted broccoli, carrots, and a lemon tahini dressing, or sardines on rye with capers, red onion, and a side of arugula. Evening might be salmon with sweet potato and steamed greens, or tofu and bok choy over brown rice with sesame, or black bean, corn, and avocado tacos with cabbage slaw and lime. A square of dark chocolate or a small handful of almonds with a clementine closes the loop with magnesium, vitamin E, and vitamin C. If you prefer a plant-first pattern, it's entirely possible to cover the map. Rotate legumes, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, soy, whole grains, oats, barley, quinoa, buckwheat, seeds and nuts, pumpkin, sunflower, chia, hemp, flax, walnuts, almonds, many colors of fruits and vegetables, and fortified foods for B12 and often vitamin D, calcium, iodine. Consider algae-based, DHA EPA to support the lipid side of brain health from Chapter 3. It plays well with everything described here. Life seasons adjust the emphasis. Growth, pregnancy, and lactation raise the need for iron, iodine, choline, folate, and B12. Intense training or periods of heavy cognitive load can make magnesium, iron, and the antioxidant pair of C and E feel more relevant. Aging bodies absorb B12 less readily, and vitamin D production declines with less sun exposure, so fortified foods or supplements often step in. None of this demands obsession, just a little awareness and, when needed, a conversation with a clinician or dietitian to tailor details to your body. Supplements can be helpful when food access, preferences, or biology make gaps likely. B12 for strict vegans, vitamin D in winter at northern latitudes, iron when labs show you need it, and iodine-containing multivitamin if you don't use iodized salt. But they work best as support beams for a house built mostly of food. More is not more. Many micronutrients have a sweet spot. Treat bottles as tools, not trophies. If you like anchors instead of rules, try a simple pattern. 2 big handfuls of vegetables daily, at least 1 leafy, 2 cups of legumes or soy across the day, 2 servings of whole grains, 2 spoonfuls of seeds, or a small handful of nuts, a citrus or berry moment, a calcium source, dairy or fortified plant milk, tofu, sesame, and iodized salt in the pot. Rotate herbs, spices, and cooking methods so meals stay interesting. Parsley and lemon on lentils, dill and yogurt on fish or chickpeas, cumin and coriander in bean stews, ginger and scallions in tofu dishes, sesame and rice vinegar on greens. Flavor is not a distraction. It's often the sign that the chemistry is right. Over time, what you'll feel is a lowering of background friction. The afternoon fog lifts more easily. Your fuse lengthens. Sleep comes on schedule when dinner is gentle and minerals like magnesium have shown up. The brain's work, sending, receiving, pruning, repairing, leans on these tiny helpers all day and all night. Feed them with ordinary, delicious foods, and they'll repay you in a currency you can sense: clearer thoughts, steadier mood, and the quiet confidence that the small stuff is finally doing its quiet work. Picture your gut as a quiet garden running alongside the railway of your nervous system. Roots, shoots, and tiny caretakers work beneath the soil, while trains of thought pass overhead. Most of your microbes live in this garden, trillions of them, tending the path between what you eat and how you feel. They nibble on fibers you can't digest, turn them into small, soothing compounds, and send little notes to your brain by way of the vagus nerve, hormones and immune messengers. When the garden is diverse and well-fed, the path feels smooth. Moods are softer, focus is steadier, and digestion hums. When the soil is thin and the same few plants crowd out the rest, the path can feel bumpy, bloating, swings in energy, and a background hum of restlessness. Fiber is the garden's favorite food, not just any fiber, but a mosaic of types: soluble, insoluble, and resistant starch that reach the large intestine mostly intact. There, your microbes feast and brew short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, acetate, and propionate. Butyrate is the gardener's lantern. It fuels the cells lining your colon so they stay sturdy and calm, supports mucus production to keep the barrier comfortable, and whispers to immune cells to keep their voices low. Acetate and propionate travel farther, taking part in satiety signaling and metabolic balance. You don't have to memorize which plant feeds which microbe. You can simply court variety. Oats and barley one day, lentils the next, chickpeas and black beans later, apples and pears this week, kiwis and berries the next, carrots, broccoli, greens, onions, leeks and artichokes drifting in and out like friendly neighbours. Prebiotics are just fibres with a particular knack for feeding helpful species. Inulin and fructooligosaccharides show up in onions, leeks, garlic, chicory root, Jerusalem artichokes, and many fruits. Galacto-oligosaccharides hide in legumes and human milk, and in some fortified foods. Resistant starch blooms when potatoes or rice are cooked, cooled, and eaten later. Green-tinged bananas carry it naturally. These fibres don't taste dramatic. Their magic is quiet and delayed, like planting seeds you'll enjoy in a few days, as a calmer gut and a clearer mind. Fermented foods are like friendly transplants for the garden. Yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, tempeh, natto, some traditionally fermented pickles, and sourdough bring living cultures or the helpful byproducts of fermentation. They don't need to overwhelm your plate. A few forkfuls alongside a meal, a cup of yogurt, a spoon of miso whisked into warm, not boiling water, or tempeh cubes crisped in a pan can be enough to shift the tone. If salt is a concern, choose low-sodium versions when possible, or rinse brined vegetables briefly. The beneficial notes remain. Polyphenols, colourful plant compounds, act like wildflowers that attract helpful insects. They arrive in tea and coffee, berries and cherries, cocoa, olives and olive oil, herbs and spices, red cabbage, purple carrots, and leafy greens. Many polyphenols are too big for you to absorb directly. Microbes break them into smaller pieces that you can use, and in return, the microbes that do this job tend to thrive. This is why a handful of berries with yogurt, a square of dark chocolate with nuts, or herbs piled generously over a bean dish can feel like more than flavour. It's quiet gardening. The garden and the brain converse along several paths. There's the vagus nerve, a long, wandering cable carrying status updates from gut to brain and back again. There are immune messengers that should speak softly, not shout. There are hormones like GLP-1 and PYY that register satisfaction after meals, nudging appetite and energy use. There are even neurotransmitter echoes. Most of your body's serotonin is made in the gut by specialized cells that respond to microbial chatter. That serotonin doesn't cross into the brain, but its presence can change how the gut moves and how nerves there report comfort or unease. Sensations your brain translates into calm or edginess. Because this system is sensitive, it likes gradual change. If your current pattern is low in fiber and fermented foods, begin with small, friendly steps. Add a spoon of chia to oats. Swap one refined grain for a whole grain you enjoy. Barley in a soup, brown rice under a stir-fry, quinoa folded with herbs and lemon. Rinse canned beans well and start with a few tablespoons in salads or soups. Lentils, being smaller, are often gentler. A forkful of sauerkraut beside lunch, a half cup of yogurt in the afternoon, a miso broth starter at dinner. Tiny invites that your microbes gladly RSVP to. Drink more water as you add fiber. Think of it as rain for the garden. If certain fibers make you bloated, you're not doing it wrong, you're just listening. Some people are sensitive to FODMAPS, fermentable carbs that are wonderful for microbes, but sometimes noisy for humans. You can still build a quiet gut-brain rhythm with gentler choices. Firm bananas, oats, rice, quinoa, potatoes, especially cooled, carrots, spinach, eggplant, zucchini, citrus, berries, and small portions of well-rinsed canned lentils. Over time, many find their tolerance grows as the garden regains balance. Cooking, soaking, sprouting, and fermenting can soften edges too. Kitchen habits become little messages of kindness. Cook pasta to al dente to slow its journey. Cool and reheat potatoes and rice to increase resistant starch. Dress salads with olive oil and a splash of vinegar or lemon. Acids can modestly mellow the post-meal surge while making vegetables sparkle. Layer onions, leeks, garlic, and herbs into soups and stews for prebiotic whispers. Save a few tablespoons of yesterday's bean broth to jumpstart today's pot. Home fermentation in miniature. A sample day can gather these threads without fanfare. Morning. Overnight oats soaked in kefir or fortified soy milk, stirred with chia, cinnamon, and blueberries. Or sourdough toast with avocado, tomato, and a side of plain yogurt. Midday. A lentil vegetable soup finished with lemon and olive oil, plus a crunchy salad with mixed greens, shredded carrots, red cabbage, and a spoon of sauerkraut. Or a quinoa bowl with chickpeas, roasted broccoli, peppers, and a tahini lemon drizzle. Evening. Brown rice, cooked ahead and cooled, then gently reheated, with a stir-fry of tofu, bok choy, mushrooms, and ginger. Or potatoes roasted and cooled into a herby salad with olive oil, vinegar, parsley, and dill, alongside salmon or tempeh and a side of greens. Between meals, an apple with walnuts, a kiwi, a square of dark chocolate with almonds, or a small cup of kefir. The garden also listens to the weather of your life. Stress tightens the gut's muscle rhythm and can thin the protective mucus layer. Steady, gentle breathing, a walk after meals, or a few minutes of stretching lowers the wind. Sleep sets circadian cues for microbes, just as it does for you. Regular bed and wake times help both of you keep a rhythm. Movement shakes nutrients and water through the system, shortens the time food spends in the gut, and appears to encourage microbial diversity. Even 15 minutes of an easy walk after lunch can feel like a friendly nudge. Antibiotics and illness are like heavy storms, sometimes necessary, sometimes unavoidable. If they pass through, focus on replanting. Simple, soothing meals with fibers you tolerate, a rotation of fermented foods if they agree with you, hydration, and rest. The garden is resilient. It regrows with consistent care. Travel shifts soil and water, bringing small anchors, packets of oats and chia, a tin of sardines or beans, looking for yogurt, fruit, and salads, can keep the path steady until you're home. Probiotic supplements can be useful, but they're more like specialty tools than the soil itself. Different strains do different jobs, and the best choice depends on the task at hand. Food gives you a broad chorus. Supplements, when needed, contribute a soloist. If you're navigating specific symptoms, a clinician or dietitian can help tailor the selection and the dose so it's kinder and more effective. Flavor is not decoration here, it's part of the chemistry. Herbs, parsley, mint, dill, cilantro, basil, spices, cumin, coriander, turmeric, ginger, and aromatics, garlic, onions, leeks, carry polyphenols and prebiotics while making plants craveable. Olive oil helps you absorb fat-soluble friends and adds satiety so meals can be calm and unhurried. A squeeze of citrus or a spoon of vinegar brightens vegetables and may gently soften the blood sugar wave. When meals are delicious, repetition becomes easy, and repetition is how gardens grow. If you like simple anchors, try this. 2 colorful plant dishes a day, 2 servings of legumes or soy most days, 2 whole grain moments, 2 spoonfuls of seeds or a small handful of nuts, and 2 fermented food cameos across the week, or more if you enjoy them. Drink water with and between meals. Warm herbal tea can settle the belly in the evening. Keep a jar of cooked beans in the fridge, a tub of leafy greens ready to tumble into everything, and a small crock of fermented vegetables you actually like the taste of. Let convenience be an ally. Canned beans, frozen vegetables, bagged salads, plain yogurt, shelf-stable tofu, so the garden gets attention even on busy days. Over weeks, the changes tend to be subtle but steady. You notice fewer urgent cravings and fewer mid-afternoon wobbles. Bloating eases as pace and portions find their groove. Sleep feels friendlier on nights when dinner leans toward plants, fiber, and a comfortable fullness that leaves space for rest. The background mood softens a notch, like static turning down. None of this asks for perfection. The soil doesn't judge a missed watering. It remembers what you do most days. In the end, the gut-brain conversation is a long friendship. You offer fiber, color, and gentle ferments. The microbes answer with calm chemistry and well-kept pathways. The brain receives their notes and sends its own reassurance back down the line. Feed the garden a little every day, and the tracks above grow quiet. Trains glide, signals are clear, and the night hum of your inner city settles into an easy, contented rhythm. Think of water as the quiet conductor of your brain's orchestra, present in every section, keeping time without calling attention to itself. Your thoughts ride on electrical gradients, tiny differences in charge that depend on how water carries minerals across membranes. Blood brings oxygen and glucose upstream to the skull. Cerebrospinal fluid cushions and rinses. Glial cells open aquaporin doors to move water where it's needed. When you're well hydrated, signals travel with less friction. Temperature stays even, and the ache behind the eyes doesn't arrive to steal your focus. When you're a little short on fluid, nothing dramatic, just the kind of mild deficit that happens after a busy morning. A tension phrase, headaches whisper, and the day feels a shade heavier than it needs to. Electrolytes are the notes the conductor reads. Sodium keeps rhythm in the space outside your cells. Potassium sets the tempo inside. Chloride balances charge. Magnesium smooths the gating of channels and relaxes muscles. Calcium punctuates with go signals for contraction and neurotransmitter release. Together they create the backdrop that lets neurons fire, reset, and fire again. If water flows without minerals, or minerals collect without enough water, the score gets messy. The aim is simple: enough fluid to carry nutrients and remove heat, and enough electrolytes to keep that fluid in the right places. Your brain cares about steadiness more than sheer volume. A tall rush of water all at once may cool you briefly, but can send you to the bathroom before your tissues absorb what they need. Small, regular sips are gentler. A glass on waking, water with meals, a cup between tasks, and a little extra around movement or heat. Pale, straw-coloured urine is a quiet sign you're in a good range. Very dark means drink, and crystal clear for hours means you may be overdoing it. A bright neon yellow after a multivitamin is often just riboflavin passing through, not a hydration crisis. Your body is literal like that. Not all thirst feels like thirst. For many people, it arrives disguised as irritability, a craving, a stubborn fog, or a throb at the temples. The fix is simple more often than not: a glass of water and a minute of breathing. If your meals are fiber-rich, oats, beans, vegetables, whole grains, Water is their partner. Fiber swells and softens with fluid, feeding the gut's microbes and easing transit. Without enough, the very foods meant to bring calm can feel like a traffic jam. Food can carry a surprising amount of water. Cucumbers, lettuce, melon, oranges, strawberries, peaches, tomatoes, zucchini, soups and broths, stews and porridges, yogurt and kefir. These are basically edible water with benefits. A bowl of vegetable soup with beans hydrates while delivering potassium and magnesium. A yogurt bowl with fruit and chia tucks fluid into a cool, steady package. Oatmeal cooked with milk or fortified soy milk is like a morning reservoir. Minerals ride in on ordinary foods if you let them. Sodium isn't an enemy, it's essential, especially when you sweat. Using iodized salt in home cooking gives you reliable iodine for thyroid function and just enough sodium to keep fluid in the right compartments. Potassium is abundant in beans, potatoes, bananas, avocados, tomatoes, squash, leafy greens, yogurt, and even coconut water. These foods help balance the sodium you take in. Magnesium hums along in nuts, seeds, legumes, whole grains, and dark chocolate. It helps nerves fire smoothly and muscles release when the day is done. Calcium, dairy, fortified plant milks, tofu set with calcium, small fish with bones, sesame, participates in signaling and keeps the rest of you sturdy enough to carry your brain around. Heat, altitude, and movement change the math. On a warm day, during a long walk, in a hot studio, or at elevation where the air is dry and your breathing is faster, you lose more fluid with every exhale and bead of sweat. Sipping plain water will help. Adding a little salt and potassium helps more because it keeps the water where you want it, in circulation, not just in and out. You don't need a laboratory formula to get 80% of the benefit. If you've been sweating for an hour or you're out in heavy heat, a simple homemade drink, water with a small pinch of salt, a squeeze of citrus, and a spoon of sugar or honey can feel markedly better than water alone. The sugar helps sodium absorb. The sodium helps water absorb. The citrus makes you want to drink it. Commercial electrolyte mixes are fine too. Choose ones without a wall of added stimulants and keep them for the days that earn them. There's also the other edge. Overdoing plain water while sweating heavily can dilute sodium too far, especially across many hours of endurance effort. The result, hyponatremia, feels like confusion, headache, nausea, sometimes worse. It's uncommon in everyday life, but worth a line in the margin if you're a heavy sweater or a long-distance mover. The antidote is modest and practical. Couple water with salt and food on long, sweaty outings. Sip steadily rather than chugging liters at once. Go by thirst plus a simple plan, not a dare. Everyday beverages have personalities. Coffee and tea count toward hydration. Their mild diuretic effect is offset in habitual drinkers, and what's left is mostly water plus helpful polyphenols. They're kinder with food and earlier in the day if sleep is precious. Sparkling water is just water with bubbles. Mineral waters can add a touch of magnesium and calcium if you enjoy them. Juice is best as a small accent with a meal rather than a solo drink on an empty stomach. The fiber was left behind with the pulp, and your brain prefers sugar wrapped in context. Alcohol turns down your antidiuretic hormone. It pushes water away and fragments deep sleep. If you drink, tuck glasses of water between servings and land the last one well before bed to spare your night. Timing makes hydration friendlier. Front load the day, a glass on waking, one with each meal, one mid-morning and mid-afternoon, and a small top-off around exercise. In the evening, Switch to sips and warm herbal teas if you like the ritual, but set a gentle cutoff so your sleep isn't a relay between bed and bathroom. If you wake thirsty at night, consider nudging dinner earlier, salting food a touch more, or adding a small balanced snack. Yogurt with oats, a banana with peanut butter, so your body doesn't burn through everything by 3 a.m. Sweat is personal. Some people lose more salt than others. You'll see it as a salty sheen on your skin or shirt after hard effort. If that's you, a little extra sodium around exercise will feel disproportionately helpful. A saltier broth with lunch, olives or pickles on the side, an electrolyte tab in the bottle. If you're not a salty sweater, you may do perfectly with water and potassium-rich foods. Tuning this is less about charts and more about how you feel in the hours after. Clear versus headachy, steady versus crampy, content versus oddly restless. The kitchen offers small, delicious ways to carry water and electrolytes together. Start meals with a light soup or a salad piled high with leaves and citrus. Finish grains with olive oil and a squeeze of lemon. Dress vegetables with yogurt and herbs. Scatter pumpkin seeds or almonds for magnesium and crunch. Build bowls that naturally hydrate. Brown rice or barley under a tumble of vegetables, beans, and a tahini lemon drizzle. Potatoes roasted, then cooled and turned into a herby salad with vinegar and olive oil. Tomatoes and cucumbers tossed with salt, oregano, and a glug of good oil beside a scoop of yogurt or hummus. These patterns are as old as kitchens and as modern as your next grocery run. Travel and long workdays benefit from anchors. Keep a bottle in view. We drink what we can see. Pack a small bag of salted nuts, a couple of oranges or kiwis, and a tin of soup or beans you actually like. On flights, alternating water and something with electrolytes can fend off the dry air slump. In meetings, a mug of warm water or tea can be less distracting than ice-cold gulps, and somehow more inviting. Your body is generous with feedback if you listen gently. A creeping headache late morning, often water, leg cramps after a hot day, often a little sodium and magnesium alongside fluid, afternoon fatigue that lifts after fruit and a glass of water. That's your tide returning. Pay attention to patterns across a week, not a single day. Adjust a little at a time. In the background of all this is the brain's nightly rinse cycle. During deep sleep, fluid flows more freely between brain cells as the glymphatic system clears byproducts of thought. You don't have to engineer this, you just have to make it possible. A day with enough fluid and minerals, a calm dinner, and a night with fewer awakenings gives that rinse room to work. The result the next morning is hard to describe, but easy to feel. Edges softened, attention brighter, the sense that your inner city woke to clean streets. There's no perfection to chase here. The aim is quiet competence, water close at hand, meals that carry their own hydration, a comfortable relationship with salt and potassium, a habit of sipping, not forcing, a kind eye on coffee, alcohol, and late-night gulps. Do this most days, and your brain will repay you in the currency it knows best. Clearer signals, steadier mood, fewer aches, and the soft, unremarkable ease that tells you the conductor is on the podium and the orchestra has found its time. Picture your energy as a quiet line on a page. When the line is smooth, thoughts move easily and your mood feels held. When the line starts to jag, quick peaks followed by drops, you can feel it in your nerves, a flicker of restlessness, a buzz behind your ribs, a shift toward worry that doesn't have a clear source. That jag often begins with fast sugar. When you eat or drink something that breaks down quickly, sweet coffee drinks, juice on an empty stomach, candy, pastries, white bread, glucose rises fast in the blood. Your body responds with insulin, helping that sugar move into cells. If the rise is steep, the response can overshoot a little. Levels drift down faster than your brain likes. That dip isn't a crisis, but your body reads it as a nudge to act. Stress hormones step in to lift glucose back up. Adrenaline and cortisol add a little push. Useful in a sprint, less helpful at a desk. The sensations that follow can feel uncannily like anxiety, a faster heartbeat, slight tremor, warmth in the chest, jumpy thoughts, a fragile mood. Many people don't connect those feelings to what they ate an hour ago. It just feels like, I'm on edge. The pattern is simple to recognize once you look for it. A quick lift, energy, followed 60 to 120 minutes later by a slump. Irritability, wandering attention, hunger that feels urgent rather than true, a pull toward more sweets or caffeine. The next sugar fixes the slump for a moment and sets the next drop. It's a small roller coaster built out of snacks. You don't have to quit sweetness to step off the ride. You just have to change how it arrives. Carbohydrates wrapped in their original scaffolding, fiber, water, and structure, land more slowly, which means less adrenaline, fewer jitters, and a steadier mind. Whole fruit instead of juice, oats instead of frosted flakes, sourdough or true whole grain bread instead of pillowy white, beans, lentils, and intact grains instead of refined flours, potatoes that are roasted, cooled, and tossed with olive oil and herbs instead of fries. This isn't about purity, it's about pace. Pairing is the other lever. Protein and fat slow digestion and stretch the curve. A banana with peanut butter feels entirely different from a banana alone. Chocolate after lunch with almonds lands more softly than chocolate on an empty afternoon stomach. A small cookie with Greek yogurt and berries is calmer than 3 cookies by themselves. A sweet coffee drink becomes friendlier if it rides alongside eggs, oatmeal with nuts, or a savory toast, rather than come in first thing on an empty stomach. Little kitchen moves help more than you'd think. Cook pasta al dente. Favor sourdough for bread. The fermentation can soften the spike. Add vinegar or lemon to meals. A splash in water, a bright dressing, a quick pickle. Acids can modestly blunt the glucose rise. Start meals with a salad or veggies dressed in olive oil. Cool and reheat rice or potatoes to build resistant starch. Sprinkle cinnamon for taste if you like it. Flavor matters because it keeps these patterns enjoyable. Caffeine and sugar together can amplify the buzz. Caffeine blocks adenosine, your sleepiness signal, and increases alerting neurotransmitters. Sugar's quick rise stacks on top. If your morning starts with a sweet latte and a pastry, you've built a double peak. Try decoupling them. Eat first, then have coffee. Make the coffee less sweet. Or switch the pastry to oats with nuts, a yogurt bowl, or a savory option. Many people notice their mid-morning angst evaporates with that one change. Stress weaves into the story. Cortisol naturally bumps up in the morning. If you layer a high sugar breakfast onto that, you tilt the system further toward go. On high stress days, your body is already whispering for quick fuel. Meeting it with slow carbs and protein short circuits the loop. Oats with chia and walnuts, eggs and greens on rye, tofu scramble with vegetables and avocado, yogurt with berries, flax, and pumpkin seeds. The difference shows up around the 90-minute mark as a mind that isn't buzzing for relief. If a spike sneaks in, you can soften the descent. Drink water. Dehydration intensifies fogginess. Take a 10 to 20 minute easy walk. Muscles sip glucose without needing insulin, flattening the drop. Add a small protein-fat snack, a handful of nuts, yogurt, cheese and whole grain crackers, hummus with carrots. Breathe slowly for a couple of minutes. A longer exhale tells your nervous system the emergency is over. You're not fixing the past snack. You're signaling safety while smoothing the chemistry. Dessert can still belong. Make it part of the meal, not a solo act. Choose sweets that bring their own breaks. Baked apples with oats and walnuts, dark chocolate with almonds, yogurt with fruit and a crumble of granola, dates stuffed with tahini or peanut butter, banana slices on whole grain toast with sesame, whole fruit sorbets, chia puddings, and small squares of good chocolate scratch the itch without the lash. Even drinks reshape the curve. Juice is fruit without its breaks. Treat it like a condiment, small with food. Sugary sodas are pure fast fuel. Sparkling water with a squeeze of citrus, unsweetened iced tea, or flavored seltzer scratches the fun drink itch. Smoothies can go either way. Make them slow by anchoring with yogurt or kefir, or fortified soy milk, adding chia or flax, and favoring whole berries over juice. If you like sweet coffee, step it down. Fewer pumps of syrup, more milk, or a switch to cinnamon and vanilla. Timing matters. Big, fast-carb meals late at night push blood sugar up just as your body wants to coast down. The rebound can wake you at 3 or 4 a.m. with a racing mind and uneasy heart. A lighter, earlier dinner, protein, vegetables, a calm carbohydrate, often leads to better sleep. If you're a need-something person before bed, keep it small and balanced. Half a banana with almond butter, plain yogurt with a spoon of oats, a couple of whole grain crackers with cheese or hummus. The monthly cycle can change sensitivity to carbohydrates for many people. In the late luteal phase, the week before bleeding, some notice more cravings and a bit more blood sugar wobble. Plan for it. Bigger portions of slow carbs, extra protein at breakfast, nuts in the bag, a square of chocolate after lunch rather than at 4 p.m. when the crash hits. Movement is a gentle antidote all day long. A short walk after meals, a few squats while the kettle boils, taking the stairs. Each gives glucose somewhere to go besides up. You don't need sweaty workouts to feel the benefit. You need little pulses of muscle use that tell your system we're spending what we just earned. If you like experiments, run simple, kind tests. Eat a pastry alone one morning and notice how you feel 60 to 120 minutes later. On another day, have oats with chia, walnuts and berries, or eggs and greens on rye, and compare the 90-minute window. Try fruit solo versus fruit with yogurt or nuts. Notice your sleep after late pizza versus an earlier, steadier dinner. You're not judging, you're learning your map. A calm day's pattern might look like this. A first meal with protein and fiber, yogurt with flax and berries, eggs with veg, tofu and whole grain toast, lunch with beans or fish or tofu, colourful vegetables, and an intact grain dressed with olive oil and lemon. A mid-afternoon snack that's protein plus if you need it. Nuts and fruit, hummus and carrots, cheese and a pear, edamame. Dinner a bit earlier, modest and balanced. Dessert tucked into that meal, not floating on its own. Water within reach, caffeine earlier, alcohol, if you drink, modest and not too late. Travel and busy days can still be steady. In a cafe, add a yogurt, egg or nut pack to a sweet choice. At a gas station, pair fruit with nuts or grab cheese and whole grain crackers. On flights, Alternate water with something salty or potassium-rich, like a tomato juice. Pack a bar that's more nuts than syrup. In restaurants, ask for the salad first, choose the whole grain side if available, and consider splitting dessert after the main. If you find that small sweets launch big spirals, or that panic-like sensations show up often after snacks, that's information, not a failing. You might simply be someone whose stress system is sensitive to quick drops. Lean into the gentler patterns above, and if symptoms are frequent or severe, consider speaking with a clinician or dietitian. Sometimes iron, thyroid, medication timing, sleep debt, or anxiety itself adds to the loop. Over time, the payoff isn't a halo. It's less noise, fewer "why do I feel like this?" moments, a heart that beats like a metronome rather than a drum roll, an afternoon that doesn't tilt into restlessness. Sweetness becomes part of meals, not the steering wheel of your day. You trade the roller coaster for a quiet train, steady tracks, clear signals, and a brain that can finally look out the window and breathe. Imagine sleep as a tide that's meant to roll in on its own. Two common ripples can disturb that tide. One bitter and black, one amber and sweet. Caffeine and alcohol sit on opposite ends of the day, but both can nudge your brain away from the quiet rhythm it's trying to keep. Neither is a villain, and neither needs to be perfect to be kind. What matters is timing, dose, and the story you ask them to tell. Caffeine works by gently crowding the same seats that adenosine, your natural sleepiness signal, wants to occupy. Through the morning and into the day, adenosine builds up like soft sand in an hourglass, whispering, "We'll rest later." Caffeine is polite but insistent. It slips into those chairs so you feel awake even while the sand keeps falling. Drink it early and it smooths the edges. Drink it late and it becomes a bright lamp in a room that should be dimming. You don't have to memorize half-lives to feel the pattern. Most people find that a first cup with or after breakfast feels clean. A second mid-morning still feels friendly. And anything deep in the afternoon begins to echo into the night. If sleep feels elusive, moving your last caffeine earlier by even 1 hour can make a difference you notice 3 nights from now. The size of the dose matters more than we think. A small cup can sharpen the world. A large one can push the heart a little faster than your thoughts. Energy drinks, pre-workouts, and giant cafe cups hide multiple servings behind cheerful names. Chocolate counts, especially dark. Matcha and black tea count too, though they often feel rounder because they arrive with L-theanine and other plant compounds that take the edge off. Decaf is not zero. It's just gentler. If you are sensitive, a half-caf blend in the morning and herbal tea after lunch can feel like stepping down a staircase rather than jumping from a ledge. Caffeine is kinder with food. A slow, fiber-rich breakfast, oats with chia and walnuts, eggs and greens on rye, yogurt with berries and flax, gives caffeine a cushion so it doesn't spike your nerves. If you love a sweet latte, pair it with protein or make the drink less sweet. Caffeine plus fast sugar is a double peak that can leave you shaky and oddly worried an hour later. Notice your own patterns. For some, a single espresso sits lightly while a large drip coffee clangs. For others, tea feels smooth where coffee feels sharp. Genetics, hormones, medications, smoking, and even the phase of your menstrual cycle can shift how you metabolize caffeine. Treat these differences as useful clues rather than rules you're supposed to match. If you're trying to sleep better, A gentle fade plan beats a sudden stop. Shrink the afternoon serving first, then move it earlier, then make it half caf, then swap to tea, then herbal. Headaches during the first week are not a moral failure. They're just tight vessels relaxing. Water, magnesium-rich foods, nuts, seeds, beans, greens, a short walk, and a calm snack often blunt the withdrawal's bark. Give yourself a week or two and check your nights, not your pride. Naps deserve a kind word. A brief daytime doze, 10 to 20 minutes, can refresh without invading the night, especially early afternoon. If insomnia is already keeping you up, skip naps for a while and focus on regular bed and wake times. If you're steady, a coffee nap, a small cup, then a short nap before the caffeine fully kicks in, can be strangely effective. Just keep it early, not at dusk, so your night isn't borrowing from itself. Now to the evening glass. Alcohol feels like a friend at the door. Warm, loosening, an easy conversation. But sedation is not sleep. Alcohol coaxes you through the first act by quieting the cortex, then slips away in the second, taking with it the depth and continuity that make sleep restorative. Early in the night, it suppresses REM. Later, as its chemistry clears, your nervous system rebounds, heart rate rises, and dreams arrive in a jumbled rush. Many people wake at 3 or 4 a.m., thirsty, hot, mind humming, and mistake it for worry when it's simply biology finishing what the drink started. The fix is not rigid abstinence unless you want it. The fix is spacing and softness. If you choose to drink, aim to land your last sip several hours before bed, so your body has begun to clear it before the lights go out. Eat with it. Food slows absorption and calms blood sugar swings that otherwise contribute to that early morning wake. Alternate with water. Your antidiuretic hormone is turned down by alcohol, so you'll shed fluid faster. Favor simple mixers, soda water, citrus, bitters, over very sugary ones that add their own roller coaster. Choose lower ABV options when it makes sense. The gentle drink often delivers the ritual you want without the nighttime cost. Pay attention to the number that makes you feel like yourself the next day. For some, that number is 0. For others, it's 1 with dinner, not every night. The specific line is personal, but the pattern is shared. The closer alcohol gets to bedtime, the more likely your sleep fragments. If you live with snoring or sleep apnea, alcohol relaxes airway muscles and can make both louder. This is a nudge toward earlier, lighter, or none. If reflux troubles you, alcohol plus a late heavy meal stacks the deck toward midnight discomfort. Your body is not scolding you, it's giving you settings to choose from. There's a social layer here too. Nights out don't have to mean poor sleep by default. Begin with a real dinner, not just bites. Order a sparkling water with lime alongside your drink and keep pace with both. Make your last drink the earliest one you can, then switch to an alcohol-free option you actually like. Hop water, a tart shrub with soda, a 0.0% beer you've taste tested, or a simple tonic with herbs. When you come home, a glass of water and a small balanced snack, a yogurt with oats, a banana with peanut butter, a couple of whole grain crackers with cheese, can smooth the blood sugar dip waiting for you at 3 a.m. Together, caffeine and alcohol can tug at both ends of the rope, wired in the morning, ragged at night. You can loosen that rope with small, durable moves. Anchor caffeine to the first half of the day and to meals. Replace late afternoon cups with decaf or herbal tea. Keep alcohol away from bedtime. Attach it to food and interleave it with water. Keep your room cool and dark. The heart that beats a little faster after wine will appreciate the extra cool. If you wear a tracker, notice how heart rate and sleep stages shift with timing experiments. If you don't, notice the oldest signal of all, how you feel when you wake. A gentle day might look like this: morning, water, breakfast, coffee you enjoy. Mid-morning, if you want a second, this is the friendliest hour. Early afternoon, tea if you like a ritual, herbal if you're sensitive. Late afternoon, light, caffeine-free. Evening, dinner on the earlier side, a walk, then either no drink or one with the meal and a glass of water in between, finishing hours before bed. Night, a wind down that doesn't glow. Book, bath, stretches, soft light, and a room that invites sleep rather than tests it. If you're navigating anxiety, notice whether caffeine on an empty stomach pulls the thread tighter, and whether alcohol's late-night rebound mimics the very sensations you're trying to soothe. If you're pregnant or trying to be, if you're on medicines that interact, or if sleep has been stubbornly broken for a long time, a conversation with a clinician is a gift to your future self. But for many, the path back to deeper rest is paved with these small, ordinary choices made most days, not all. In the end, think of both drinks as instruments in your daily score. Caffeine, early and paired with breakfast, can brighten the melody. Alcohol, occasional and early with food, can be a soft harmony in the evening. Let them play too close to bedtime, and they'll drown out the quiet drum that tells your body it's time for night. Give that drum some space. Keep the lamps of the day in the day, and the warmth of the evening in the evening. Your brain knows what to do with the darkness. It will lower the lights inside, sweep the streets, stitch the day into memory, and return you in the morning a little more whole. Let's turn all the ideas into a calm day you can actually live. Simple rhythms, unfussy food, and little choices that keep your mind steady. Think of each meal as a small composition with 5 parts. An anchor, protein, a calm base, slow carb or starchy veg, color, vegetables or fruit, a gentle drizzle, fat, and water. When in doubt, build that tune and you'll be close to right. On waking, start with a glass of water and a few slow breaths or a short stretch. If you like caffeine, let it ride alongside your first meal rather than alone. Your nerves will thank you. A first meal can be as simple as oats soaked overnight in milk or fortified soy milk, stirred with chia and a handful of berries, then finished with walnuts. Or fold sautéed spinach and tomatoes into eggs and slide the whole thing onto a slice of true whole grain or sourdough toast. If you prefer plants only, make a tofu scramble with mushrooms and peppers, spoon it into a warm whole grain tortilla, and scatter avocado on top. Plain yogurt with sliced pear, pumpkin seeds, and ground flax is another quiet winner. Each of these keeps glucose steady, delivers fiber and protein for neurotransmitters, and carries enough fat to extend the energy curve into the late morning. If breakfast has been tricky, shrink the portion and add a second small morning snack later. The point is smoothness, not size. Mid-morning is a chance to nudge the line gently upward without a spike. If you're hungry, pair fruit with something that slows it. An apple with almonds, a banana with peanut butter, a kiwi with yogurt, whole grain crackers with hummus, edamame with a sprinkle of salt and lemon. If you're not hungry, drink water and move on. Eating by appetite is part of the calm. Lunch carries the middle of your day, so let it be colourful and composed. A bowl can do most of the work, Start with an intact grain like barley, quinoa, brown rice or farro. Add a big scoop of beans or lentils or a protein you enjoy. Tofu, tempeh, salmon, sardines, chicken. Pile on roasted or fresh vegetables. Finish with olive oil, tahini, or a yogurt dressing, and a bright squeeze of lemon or a splash of vinegar. Lentil soup with a tumble of greens and a slice of rye feels like a blanket on a busy day. Soba noodles tossed with tofu, mushrooms, scallions, and sesame give you slow carbs and steady protein without heaviness. A chickpea tomato cucumber salad with olives and feta over bulgur, glossed with olive oil and oregano, travels well and tastes even better an hour later. If bread is calling, make it real. Dense rye or sourdough layered with sardines and dill yogurt, or with avocado, tomato, and a pile of herbs. The details are flexible. The pattern, anchor, base, color, drizzle, water, does the thinking. The afternoon is where many days wobble. Before reaching for sugar or a third coffee, check the basics. A glass of water, a 3-minute walk or stretch, a window opened for a breath of air. If your stomach is asking for something, give it a protein plus snack. Yogurt with oats and cinnamon, a small tempeh sandwich on whole grain bread, hummus and carrots, cheese and a pear, a handful of nuts with a clementine, a cooled potato salad forkful from the fridge with olive oil and herbs. If you enjoy tea, this is a friendly hour for herbal blends or decaf. Keep caffeinated tea early if sleep has been slippery. Small moves here prevent the late-day crash that turns evenings into scavenger hunts. Dinner loves to be earlier and lighter than we think. Picture a plate that is half vegetables, a quarter calm carbohydrate, a quarter protein with a comfortable drizzle of fat, and a friendly brightness from citrus or vinegar. Brown rice with dal and sautéed spinach, finished with lemon. Roasted sweet potato, cooled and cut into a salad with black beans, corn, cilantro, yogurt and lime. Barley with roasted root vegetables and a spoon of tahini over a bed of arugula. Baked salmon or tofu with garlicky greens and quinoa. Stir-fried bok choy and mushrooms over reheated, previously cooled rice. Hello, resistant starch. If you want pasta, cook it al dente and layer in vegetables and protein. Whole wheat spaghetti with chickpeas, cherry tomatoes, olive oil and parmesan or nutritional yeast. Soba with edamame and sesame. 10 minutes in the kitchen can do this if your fridge is ready. Dessert belongs best inside the meal, not floating after it. A baked apple with oats and walnuts, a square or two of dark chocolate with almonds, yogurt with berries and a spoon of granola, dates stuffed with tahini, a small slice of something sweet alongside tea. Let sweetness be a guest, not the host, and your night will usually stay quiet. If you like to cook once and coast, build a little weekend prep that saves you all week. Cook a pot of a grain, brown rice, barley, farro, and a pot of legumes. Lentils cook quickly. Chickpeas can be canned and rinsed. Roast a tray of mixed vegetables, carrots, broccoli, cauliflower, onions, peppers, with olive oil and salt. Whisk 2 sauces, lemon tahini and herb yogurt, or a vegan herb tahini. Make a quick vinaigrette with olive oil and vinegar. Keep a jar of quick pickled onions, vinegar, salt, a pinch of sugar. Wash a tub of leafy greens. With those 5 or 6 components, assembling bowls and sandwiches becomes 5 minutes of play rather than a decision spiral. Your pantry can hold the rhythm for you. Oats, rye, or whole grain bread, brown rice, barley, quinoa, soba noodles. Canned beans and lentils. Sardines, salmon, or tuna if you eat fish. Tomatoes and tomato paste, olives and capers, nuts and seeds, walnuts, almonds, pumpkin, chia, flax. extra virgin olive oil, tahini, vinegar, apple cider, red wine, rice, mustard, herbs and spices, cumin, coriander, turmeric, paprika, cinnamon, oregano, dill, onions and garlic, tea and coffee you actually like. The fridge keeps the flexible stuff, yogurt or soy yogurt, eggs or tofu and tempeh, leafy greens, a rainbow of vegetables, lemons, limes, and a couple of fruits you enjoy. Frozen vegetables and berries are not second class. They're fast, nutritious, and always ready. When time is tight, lean on 10-minute assemblies. Smash chickpeas with olive oil, lemon, capers, and herbs on rye with tomato. Microwave steamed frozen broccoli finished with olive oil, salt, and sesame. Served over leftover grain with a fried egg or warm tofu. Canned lentil soup upgraded with a handful of greens and a squeeze of lemon. Sardines mashed with yogurt and mustard, piled on toast with cucumbers and dill. A potato microwaved, then crisped in a pan under cottage cheese or soy yogurt, chives and olive oil. None of these are projects, yet each honors the anchor base color drizzle pattern. Travel and busy days can still be gentle. In airports and stations, pear, fruit plus nuts, yogurt plus granola, hummus plus vegetables, a real sandwich on dense bread plus a side salad. In cafes, move sweets inside a meal. Oatmeal with nuts instead of pastry alone, or add eggs or yogurt if you want the pastry. On flights, alternate water with something mineral-rich, tomato or vegetable juice, and keep caffeine earlier. Hotel fridges are allies. Stock yogurt, fruit, a bag of salad, tins of beans or fish, and you have dinner even if restaurants fail you. Budget and access matter. Canned beans, frozen vegetables, oats, rice, carrots, onions, cabbage, apples, bananas, eggs or tofu, and a bottle of olive oil can build an entire week of steady meals without strain. A pot of lentils with carrots and onions, finished with lemon, feeds several lunches. A tray of roasted cabbage wedges with olive oil and salt is cheap and strangely delicious. Rice and beans with sautéed greens and a fried egg is comfort in a bowl. Flavor comes from acids and spices more than from expense. If your digestion is sensitive, choose the softer edges while you build tolerance. Oats, rice, potatoes, quinoa, firm bananas, zucchini, carrots, spinach, eggplant, lentils and well-rinsed canned beans in small portions. Sourdough instead of standard wheat bread. Yogurt or kefir if dairy sits well. Soy yogurt if not. Increase fiber slowly and drink more water. Herbs like ginger and mint, and spices like cumin and fennel are gentle companions. If you move your body, wrap food around activity so energy stays smooth. A small, calm snack 30 to 90 minutes before, banana with peanut butter, yogurt with oats. Afterward, a meal with protein and slow carbs, dal and rice, salmon and potatoes, tofu and soba to replenish without spikes. On very sweaty days, tuck in a little extra salt and potassium. A bowl of soup, tomatoes and cucumbers with salt and olive oil, a banana or an electrolyte drink if the heat is heavy. Shift work and late nights ask for kindness, not perfection. Before a night shift, eat a real meal with slow carbs, protein and vegetables. Carry snacks that follow the pairing rule. Keep caffeine in the first half of the shift. Land the final hours on water and herbal tea. Aim for a light, balanced bite before sleep, rather than a heavy feast. Keep your breakfast calm even if it's at 6 p.m. Your brain cares more about the pattern than the clock. For families and shared tables, build meals modularly. Put the components on the table: grain, protein, vegetables, sauce, and let everyone compose. 1 pan of roasted vegetables, One pot of a grain, one bowl of a protein, one bright dressing. Different plates, same calm. Kids often like deconstructed bowls. Adults compile theirs high. The brain science sneaks in without anyone needing a lecture. Seasonality keeps this interesting. Summer leans on tomatoes, cucumbers, herbs, stone fruit, and quick assemblies. Autumn brings roasted squash, lentils, barley, and apples. Winter loves soups, stews, cabbages, citrus, and oats. Spring adds asparagus, peas, new potatoes, and bright salads. The pattern does not change. The produce swaps its costume. When flavors sing, habits stick. A squeeze of lemon or lime at the end. A spoon of vinegar in dressings and even in cooking water for grains. Fresh herbs by the handful. Toasted nuts and seeds for crunch. Olive oil poured with generosity, but not excess. Salt used on purpose, ideally iodized at home. Texture, creamy yogurt against crisp vegetables, chewy grains with tender beans, turns nutrition into food you crave. If things go sideways, troubleshoot with gentleness. Jitters after breakfast. Shift sweetness into the meal and add protein and fat. Move caffeine later and make it smaller. Afternoon crash? Add a bigger protein anchor at lunch, drink water, take a short walk, and keep a protein plus snack on hand. Nighttime wake-ups? Earlier dinner, smaller dessert folded into the meal, less alcohol and caffeine closer to bed, a cool room, and a tiny, balanced bedtime snack only if hungry. Bloated after adding fiber? Turn the dial down, cook things softer, and sip more water. A single day might flow like this. Water and a slow, anchoring first meal. A calm snack if you need it. A colourful, fibre-rich lunch. A short walk and water. A balanced afternoon nibble when hungry. An earlier dinner with vegetables, a calm carbohydrate and protein. Dessert inside the meal. Lights and screens dim. Herbal tea if you like a ritual. Repeat most days, not all. Let celebrations be celebrations, then return to your quiet line. What you're really building is a feeling, a background steadiness that makes room for life. The food is simple enough to repeat, flexible enough to enjoy, and kind enough to carry you from morning to night without the roller coaster. Keep the pattern close, play with the details, and let your brain do what it does best when it's well fed. Focus when you ask, soften when you're done, and slip into sleep like a tide that knows the shore. Before we dim the lights, let's take one gentle breath together. Inhale slowly, hold, and exhale as if you're letting the whole day soften at the edges. You've made it all the way here, through the quiet story of how food can steady your mood, clear your focus, and invite deeper sleep. Thank you for spending this time with the sleepy Brainist. Your presence here genuinely matters. If you're leaving with just a few comforting ideas, let them be these. Your brain loves smooth energy, not fireworks. Color on the plate is calm in the mind. Tiny helpers, vitamins, minerals, omega-3s, do invisible work that you can feel. Your gut's little garden sends friendly messages upstairs when you feed it fiber and ferments. Water is a conductor for every signal. Sweetness belongs, but best when wrapped in context. Caffeine shines brightest in the morning. Alcohol lives better far from bedtime. And simple meals repeated kindly are more powerful than perfect plans followed once. You don't have to change everything tomorrow. Choose one small, friendly tweak and try it for a week. Maybe it's oats with chia and berries instead of a pastry. Maybe it's adding a handful of greens and a drizzle of olive oil to lunch. Maybe it's water on your desk that actually gets sipped, or moving your last coffee an hour earlier. Notice how you feel 90 minutes later. Notice the drift of your afternoon. Notice how sleep arrives. That's your roadmap, written by your own body in its own calm handwriting. If tonight's episode soothed you or taught you something gentle and useful, please subscribe to the channel, tap like, and ring the notification bell. It truly helps this sleepy little corner of the internet reach more people who could use a soft landing at the end of the day. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one meal you're excited to try this week? What's your favorite brain-friendly snack that never fails you? And where in the world are you watching from tonight? Our map of quiet lights grows with every comment, and it's beautiful to see. As we close, think about tomorrow's you. Picture your morning self with a glass of water and a breakfast that doesn't shout, just hums, protein to build your messengers, a slow carb to carry you, a little fat to smooth the curve, and something colourful to keep the tiny helpers happy. Picture your afternoon self taking a short walk, breathing once before reaching for more coffee, pairing snacks so they land softly. Picture your evening self easing towards sleep, an earlier, lighter meal, dessert tucked into it instead of after, screens dimmed, room cool, the day putting itself away. None of it has to be perfect, it just has to be kind. If your routine is busy, your budget tight, or your energy low, remember, small is enough. Canned beans, frozen vegetables, oats, eggs or tofu, a bottle of olive oil, lemons, salt. These can carry an entire week of steady meals. Let convenience be a helper. Rinsed beans on toast with tomatoes and herbs. Frozen broccoli warmed and glossed with oil, sesame and lemon over leftover rice. Yogurt or soy yogurt with fruit, pumpkin seeds, and a spoon of ground flax. Silence the idea that good food must be complicated. Your brain is not grading your plate, it's thanking you for the pattern. If you're navigating tricky digestion, stress, or sleep that won't cooperate, take what serves you and leave the rest. Start with the gentlest fibers, sip more water, move regularly, and shift the timing of caffeine and alcohol. If you need tailored help, a clinician or dietitian is a wise teammate. This channel is for education and comfort, not diagnosis, but I hope it gives you language to bring to your own care. Before you go, a tiny evening ritual if you'd like. Pour a small glass of water. Write down one sentence about how your body felt after today's meals. Set out one thing for tomorrow's breakfast: a bowl, a spoon, a jar of oats, a banana. Those 2 minutes are a quiet nudge to your future self. I've got you. Then step outside or open a window if you can. Let the night air touch your face. Notice a sound in the distance. This is your cue that the world is larger than your to-do list, and rest is part of doing. If you feel grateful for someone tonight, share this episode with them. Maybe a friend who runs on fumes, a student pulling long hours, a parent who forgets to eat until late, a night shift worker seeking steadier sleep. Send them a soft message. You deserve easier days too. We have more calm journeys ahead on the Sleepy Brainist, from soothing science stories to gentle guides for food, mood, and rest. Subscribing and turning on the bell means you'll find your way back here, even on the days when everything else is loud, and your comments often shape what comes next. This channel grows from your questions and your lived rhythms. As we close the book on tonight's chapter, let your shoulders drop. Unclench your jaw. Place one hand on your belly and feel it rise and fall. If you're already in bed, let your eyes soften behind your eyelids and imagine your thoughts lining up like books return to their shelf, one by one. There's nothing you need to solve in this moment. The chemistry you set in motion today, the the water you drank, the colors you ate, the steadier curve you chose, is still working while you rest. Thank you for being here, for caring for your mind in small, steady ways, and for making this a community where softness is strength. If this kept you company, subscribe, like, and ring the bell before the screen fades. Leave a comment with your city or country and the brain-friendly bite you'll try this week. I'll be reading, smiling, and cheering you on from our little studio of quiet light. Good night, gentle mind. May your thoughts dim like a coastline at dusk. May your sleep rinse the day clean. And may you wake to a morning that feels a touch lighter. One calm meal, one deep breath, and one kind choice at a time.